Thank you, Mr. Chair. Committee, we'll kind of go down through a little timeline here, but at the end of August, I was made aware of this issue, and I was told that there was $48 million deficit, and that's why we were cutting out prescription drug plan. I sat here this morning and I learned that we need $3 million to fund it because we're going to take $26 million out of reserve, so that's a $29 million problem, not a $48 million problem. I don't like being told numbers that fit whatever plan a department wants to do. I want to be told the truth, and I think this committee and the people of Arkansas deserve the truth. What are the actual numbers? When did we actually know of the deficit, and when should we have started addressing it? And Amy, you can start because you were the one that started giving me these $48 million numbers in the first place.
Thank you, Representative Wardlaw. The $48 million is the amount that the state paid and spent on the cost of the prescription drugs for the 65 plus retirees.
So, Mr. Chairman, can I keep going for a second?
Yes, you may.
So that's easy for you to cut out. So you're actually going to be making money on this cut compared to the deficit you actually have for next year.
So after the $48 million cost, we received approximately $10 million in rebates and refunds on that prescription. So we get to a $38 million loss for the state to cover the prescription plan for this population. In the plan that you were submitted at the end of August, at the end of 21, we would have had a $29.81 million reserve. So the plan you're seeing today leaves us in a deficit with no reserve. The plan that we presented to your committee at the end of August left us in the black with a reserve fund to fall back on, not knowing that this is a projected for the end of 2021 and not real numbers. So that's the difference. Us leaving the state with a surplus reserve fund or us leaving the state with a deficit and no reserve fund.
But it goes back to Senator Rayford's question earlier. The prescription drug problem is not the actual issue causing this cost rise. And y'all have admitted to that. But yet you're cutting it because it's easy, because the teachers got cut in 2007. I mean, these are the stories we keep getting told. And then we're at a $48 million deficit, but we really wasn't at a $48 million deficit. We were at a $26 million deficit. And you're right, you were in the black a year from now because you were making half of that money back to the plan. You're 100% correct, but that's not the story you told legislators in August. You told us in August that we were $48 million deficit if we kept that plan. And that's not true.
I'm not sure where you're getting the $26 million from. Could you explain
from your report today. I got text from you right here. You said you had a reserve of $26 million. You're going to take $3 million that you've asked us to help you budget. That's $29 million. That's the actual deficit. It's not $48 million, which is what we were told.
In my text to you during the committee meeting, I said I thought it might be $26 million. I looked back on it and I corrected myself and said $29 million.
So it's 29 plus 3.
29.81 on the presentation that you were shown.
Then you asked us for an appropriation for $3 million a while ago in your opening remarks.
No, sir. I just said we're going to, if the numbers stay constant, we are going to have a deficit with no reserve. So the plan falls back on its reserve many times throughout the year. So we will have a projected deficit of 3.65 with no reserve fund to use that way. So I don't know that the ask would be 3.65 million. I don't know exactly what the ask would be at this point.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I'll hold.
Thank you. I'm just going to take the order that these came in. Senator Hammer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. These are going to be to Mr. White, just to nail down the time frame. I know it's a little redundant, but when did you get started on this project, Mr. White?
We began our